Hello, my super Sagittarius, and welcome to your love bonus reading. This is just a general reading, so please do take what resonates and toss the rest. Also, please do check out my other readings on my channel if you haven't had a chance. If you enjoy this, like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell, all that other great stuff. I do plan to put up general readings as well as moon readings very shortly, and you do not want to miss those. I do want to apologize. I am suffering from a bit of a sinus infection, so I have a terrible voice today and I look, well, you see. So anyway, hopefully we can get through this together. So anyway, my Sagittarius, let's go ahead and do your love reading. If you can't see these, we will certainly go through them one at a time, so no problem there. This first row is kind of where you are now. Time is fluid in tarot, so it's also, you may be working through it or towards the end. The middle row is where you're going over the next month, 2 months, that kind of thing. And the third row, we're going to say spirit for generic collective terms, but it's whatever you believe in as your guiding factor, spirit, higher divination, communion of saints, collective, the universe, whatever. But we'll say spirit here, their advice to you. So we'll go ahead and get this started here, see what we can find out for you about your upcoming love here. So I do see we have the Seven of Swords to start with, which lets me know you've kind of come out of a relationship, I feel like, or you've had a tumultuous relationship of sorts with someone. It may not have even been anything major. For some of you, it could have been a major long-term relationship. For others of you, it may have just been like a quick dating sitch. Because I see, I feel like you're not too torn up. Let me just put it that way. Whether it was long or short, I don't feel like you're too overly burdened by it. You just needed a change, right? Because, they're 2 swords down, but you're carrying 5 swords away, right? You're still strong. You just needed some shift and change. You just knew it wasn't working, right? And it may have been a kind of an amicable splitting. It may have been something you both were like, hey, this just isn't working. You have a little bit of sadness and lament because you hate to see it end, but you knew it was kind of necessary. But I see here the 10 of Cups, which tells me that, you're looking for a perfect family, right? There's no such thing as a perfect family. I get that. But you were looking for more than what you had. You have an idea in your mind of what you wanted out of a family. And I feel like for all intents and purposes, that was part of the problem with this relationship you were in, was that you both had 2 different ideas of what your perfect ideal family, what unit was, right? Maybe you were like, I want 2.3 kids. I want to live in the suburbs. I want to be near mom and dad and my cousins and my sisters and my brothers and have family dinners and all this kind of stuff. And they were like, yeah, no, I want a dog and to live out in the woods a million miles away from anybody in my family, or vice versa, right? So I feel like your differences and opinions with family kind of may have been a deciding factor and kind of like, we don't really see eye to eye, So I don't feel like you're too torn up about it. I feel like you knew it was best. But we have the 8 of Wands in reverse. So I don't feel like you're necessarily ready to jump into anything new either right now. As far as moving forward, you're like, I'm okay either way. Like if something pops up that's perfect, that is like absolutely fitting this bill, somebody who is like the exact match for me on that like ideal family line, yes. But other than that, like I'm not out there actively push looking, trolling the scenes on every dating site, begging my friends to hook me up. I'm just not that person right now. It's not that important to me right this minute. And that's kind of how I feel where you are. You're like, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't, which oddly enough is usually when it seems to happen. But at any rate, that's kind of how I feel like you are now. So let's see where we're going, right? So we have the 9 of Swords, and that's underneath your 7 of Swords, which lets me know that going forward, you're just not stressed. And again, this goes completely with this. I don't feel like you were stressed about the loss of that relationship. You kind of knew it was best. You may have a couple like, oh, that's kind of sucks. Or, oh, once in a while, I feel like I hate being alone. I wish I had somebody to, or I wish they were around to do this or that with, or something reminds you of them and you're like, but it was best. So you're not sad. You're not lamenting over it. Also, you're not stressed at all about finding anybody new right this second, right? You're not losing a moment's sleep. And going forward, I don't see this stress at all for you. It's just, you're just fine. You're doing your thing. You're living your life. And that is perfect. Because again, I feel like that's where most people end up finding when they're least expecting it, when they're not looking for it. That's when they end up finding the loves of their life. To me, that just seems like how it always works, right? So we have Ace of Swords energy next. I mean, and this is falling right under your 10 of Cups, your perfect, happy, rainbow and sunshine family unit situation. And I feel like this is your energy, right? I feel like you are Ace of Swords energy, and you are just gonna, you're just pushing through, battling it through. You are going to get that, that family energy, right? That 10 of Cups energy. But I feel like with that Ace of Swords energy, you're like, I'm expecting that and I'm accepting nothing less. And I think by putting out that Ace of Swords energy, again, when you least expect it, when you're pushing, when you're, pushing through on your own, doing your own thing. I mean, I do feel like that's when it seems like everything comes into place for you. It's the people who are like desperately out there like, oh, I need somebody so badly, that I don't know if people can smell the desperation. You're putting off those low level vibrations and people are like, no thanks. But I feel like you are really putting out Ace of Swords energy. So you're really, you're excelling at everything in your life. Whether it's a relationship, people are probably throwing themselves at you, but you're like, no, man, not unless you fit in this perfect mold that I want. You're being very particular, as you should. Very high standards, as you should. Probably doing very well in your other realms, work, other challenges, because you got that Ace of Swords energy, right? And you're not bothered, you're not struggled, you're not stressed. This is all fantastic way to start a new year, right? Awesome. But the next card we have the Three of Cups in reverse. And that's a card of celebration, cooperation, collaboration, all of that. But with it being in reverse, I don't necessarily see that as being a negative. I just feel like because that is under your Eight of Wands in reverse, it just means you're not ready to be a part of a collective yet. You're not ready to throw yourself into a group. You're not ready to be out there celebrating and pushing, and you're not like, ready to be part of that mainstream scene. Again, I don't feel like you're wielding that sword. You could have anything you want. I just think that you're withholding some of that, right? You've got that Cups energy to go out there and cooperate. You could have somebody hook you up like that. You could have anybody you want probably like that, and then be having these celebrations, these parties, out and about, having a social life, doing the thing, all that. But I feel like you're holding it back because you just aren't, it's just not a priority to you right that minute, with it falling under your Eight of Wands in reverse too. I just feel like you're kind of like, you know what, unless it is something that is like lightning striking me, goosebumps, the zing or whatever was from that movie Hotel Transylvania, like you'll know it's the zing kind of thing. I don't think you're interested right now. So I think you're the one who's kind of holding that back, right? No big deal. So I don't think you're bothered by that either. And I don't think that's negative news. I think it's just like, whatever for you. But let's see what your spirit, or generically whomever you believe is your guiding force, their advice to you is. So we have the King of Cups, and I do feel like Spirit is telling you, there is somebody who is a very important factor in your life, a very strong person in your life that you have a relationship with. Could be a father figure, could be somebody that's a mentor to you, older brother, somebody that you look to, as a confidant for advice, things like that. And I feel like that's who you're kind of relying on. And I think that's what Spirit's saying is, if you're not looking for, a relationship at this particular point, now's the time to really rely on this other person, develop your relationship with them. If it's not a family member and it is somebody who could turn into a relationship, great. If it's not, and it's a family member that you trust, a grandfather, a father figure, a older sibling, an uncle, whatever, and again, it could be gender neutral. Now's the time to kind of, if you're not seeking a relationship, maybe take them as a mentor, use that Ace of Swords energy you have while you're not struggling, while you're not stressed, while you're not so involved in relationship stuff, and that you can use their, guidance to accomplish a million other things, build relationships with your family, do work things, do, as far as like maybe networking, situations for, work, for investments, for, friends and family, whatever, because it's a good opportunity. So I do think there is somebody out there. And then again, if there is somebody that you really trust, a best friend that you are really, can confide in, and you always have, and they're around and they're helping you with things, work things, they're there for you, they're talking to you, they're the ones who kind of talked you through this breakup, right? They were like, this person's just not on the same page with you. I've known you for X amount of years, and you're never going to be happy with this person. You're too different in your core values, right? This could be the person, Spirit saying, but the person's right in front of you the whole time. That is your person. So that could be something to keep in mind too. But I do see here that Spirit is telling you that there is some conflict, okay? This conflict, this Five of Wands is falling below your perfect family and your Ace of Swords energy. So I do think that they are telling you to be careful, okay? So you can be so set in your ways, so set in, I want things a certain way. I'm only going to put up with so much. I'm only going to put up with this person, that person, so restrictive that it can come off as almost being snobby, exclusive, overbearing. So I do think that, Spirit here is saying, you could encounter conflict. Things could get ugly with people. It may be misunderstood because you are such a strong energy with this Ace of Swords energy. And then when you get a certain mindset in your head, you're so strong-willed, you're so strong-minded, and you're so headstrong, and you're wielding that Ace of Swords energy, and you're like, don't care. I'm not putting up with anybody who's not, and I don't have any interest in you. And sometimes when you let people down that are interested in you in a way that isn't as gentle as it should be for them, and by should be for them, I shouldn't say it that way, because you let people down the way you feel comfortable letting them down, honestly. But as we all know, some people need a softer landing than others. So when I'm saying that, I guess what I'm saying is, when you let them down in a way that they don't find kindly enough, or they just can't handle it, let's just be honest, they just can't handle it, they can get nasty, okay? So I do think that Spirit is saying, just be careful. Be careful if you're going to push people away. Tell them no, tell them you're not interested, tell them they're not, on the same level, relationship level, commitment level, whatever it is that you are looking for. You might just want to know that they may not take the news as well as they should, and it could cause some conflict. So, you might want to walk softly if you carry a big sword here. If you carry an Ace of Swords, walk softly if you're going to carry a big stick, an Ace of Swords. I think that's just kind of what Spirit's saying, just to keep yourself out of some serious, because some people can get flat out nasty. If you've ever told somebody no that's wanting to date you, or whatever, in a way that they didn't love, they can just get flat out nasty. I mean, I'm sure many of you have done this before. And then the last one we have is the Hangman, and it's in reverse. So again, I do think that Spirit's just telling you, don't put a ton of thought into this here, this, not movement forward, this Eight of Wands in reverse, this Three of Cups in reverse. Don't overthink the fact that you don't want to get involved, right? Don't go so far as to kind of hermitize yourself by overthinking it. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to get back into a situation where I was in a relationship with somebody that I have to go through all this crap again because they're not on my level or on my page or headed in the same direction as me. I don't even want to deal with it, because, you could miss out on quite a few people by overthinking it, okay? So I do think that this is kind of a warning from Spirit here. It's okay to not move forward if you're not ready. It's okay to not be in groups, or being super social or trying to hook up with people right now if you're not about that. But at the same time, don't do it because you're just overthinking the fact that, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with what happens if they aren't on my level, because, you don't really know about a lot of people until you really get to know them, right? And you can't get to know them if you don't give them a chance. So I do think Spirit is kind of saying here, let yourself at least give people a chance if you think there is some hope. Not saying that you need to give everybody a chance, of course, definitely not. But do allow yourself to be open. Don't build your walls so high that all you do is sit around overthinking what happens if, so that you never even get to try, right? So I do think that's kind of where Spirit's kind of doing that. And I know I tend to be an overthinker myself. I'm guilty of that. And then when I overthink so much, people are like, obviously they're not interested in me because they had to think about it too much, or this or that. They must not have cared. And so, forget them, and then you've missed out on somebody who could have been really, a good match for you. So just try not to overthink too much. So let's pull 3 love cards on here and see what we have to say about that, shall we? All right, we have engagement. And again, I do feel like this King of Cups, something about this King of Cups is telling me that if this is a person that you have been a really good friend with, okay, somebody you've had in your life for a very long time, a trusted friend, confidant, somebody, that you could always count on, maybe even the person who here said, you know what, you don't need to be with this person. It's just going to stress you out over time because your core fundamental values are just never going to match up. You're never going to be thrilled with that. This could be the person that has that King of Cups energy for you, and they've been there the whole time right in front of your face and you didn't even notice them, right? Because they know your core values. They know everything about you, right? They're still there. They're the ones giving you the advice, knowing everything about you. They know more about you than anybody else. And right there they are. This could be a potential engagement person, okay? So I do think that if that is somebody there that has kind of been with you through it all, you might want to keep that in mind, okay? Now this one says past life relationship. And I feel like this whole conflict here, it's just telling you that more so than like, oh, it's from a past life. I think, again, this is something where you probably have had people who've you've let them down and they didn't, let them down, meaning passed on their advances and they were nasty to you, or these people that are going to try to come into your life, maybe they've been kind of cast aside before, and because of that, their past life experiences, they are very sensitive to that, and they can get nasty about it. Again, I do believe that's what this is saying. You need to be cognizant that some people do not take kindly to being told no, and that's just the bottom line. So either let them down as easy as you can and hope for the best, or just expect that some people might not be as open or as kind to your rejection. And I think Spirit's just kind of letting you know that because they may have been through it before, or, if you've been through it before, you already know, so prep up. And this last one is express your love. And again, this is on that Hangman in reverse, where I do think that Spirit's saying, don't overthink things, okay? If you feel like there's a chance at all, and certainly we're not saying, that Spirit's saying, throw yourself out there, take anything that'll come at you, lower your standards in no way, shape, or form. But don't shut yourself off so much that you don't even express yourself to someone that could be of interest to you and say, hey, I don't mind. Let's, we can give it a try. We can, go out one time, see how things work out. We can do whatever and see, how things work out. We might as well give it a shot. I'm not committing to anything, but, I don't mind it. And then let them know how you feel. Express it. Because I do think that if you shut them off too much because you're an overthinker and you overthink too much, and you don't even allow them to get to know you or you to get to know them, you're going to miss out on a lot, okay? And what's the old adage? It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all, right? So let's go ahead and pull 3 of these cards to close you out here. And these are either your energy or the person that you're thinking of's energy, for some insight as to what kind of thoughts you're having right? What may be going on in your mind there or their mind there. So let's pull 3 of these and see what we've got going on here. All right, so we've got not the right time. I'm overwhelmed with responsibilities. I don't have the time or energy for a relationship. And I think this is exactly what's going on with you here. You were just like, you know what? This person is not fitting into my perfect life plan, my family agenda, what I want. And I don't have the time to stress over it. You know, I don't want to. So I think that's why you were kind of like, no, you know, I'm going to take this direction change and we're going to split. And I do think that you knew that was probably best. I don't feel like you're lamenting it. I don't feel like you feel bad about it. I don't feel like you feel regret. So I do feel like you knew that was not the right time for that relationship specifically. And maybe not even the right time to start a new one at that particular point yet. You may still be feeling that way, but going forward, just don't lock them all out, right? So here we have others' opinions. I feel bound by my culture and my family's beliefs on how I should live my life. I'm working towards breaking free from limiting myself based on my beliefs. And again, this is falling right under that 10 of Cups and the Ace of Swords. And again, I feel like here again, this is, you know, you have a lot of pressure on you perhaps to, you know, live your family life a certain way. Maybe you have parents that have been together for so long, there's no divorces in your family and it's frowned upon. And or maybe you have, you know, you're the one that everybody thought would be the one to be the perfect relationship or the perfect this, the perfect that, right? You just have I feel like you have a lot of expectations on you. And I feel like you put a lot of expectations on yourself, right? To have the perfect family. And that's okay. But when you do that, you know, again, you can set your expectations so high to meet your own expectations as well as sometimes even created expectations in your head that you feel like other people are expecting from you that they may not even really be expecting, but you feel like that, right? Because you want to compare to your friends, you want to compare to your family, you know, you want to, you know, meet that timeline. All your friends are married by 30, having kids by 35, you know, or whatever it may be, right? So you're like, that's what I want to do too, right? Everybody wants to keep up with the Jones, whatever it may be. And so I feel like, you know, that's part of what's kind of keeping you adhering to not moving forward, right? But I do think you are going to need to make that shift there. I think that you will. And you know, eventually, I think Spirit's telling you, you need to kind of, you know, stick to your basic principles, stick to your definite standards. But again, don't block people out and lock people out if they're not exactly perfect. No one's perfect and no relationship's perfect and no family's perfect. It's never going to be, right? What's perfect is what is perfect to you, what makes you happy, right? So just focus on that and work on that. You don't need to compare it to anybody else, right? So let's see what this one says. You're my soulmate. It must be written in the stars because you most definitely are my destiny. We belong together. And again, I feel like this here is right above express your love. And again, I feel like, you know, this person, for some reason, this King of Cups keeps coming to mind here, especially with the engagement and the soulmate card. And I feel like that you have somebody in your life that, you know, you can always lean on, you can always go to. They're your person. You know, and it's like you maybe have never even considered them in that way. Maybe you think they don't consider you in that way. And maybe you would have never thought of it at all. Maybe you're like, that's crazy. That's chaos. Well, I mean, they're just friends. We're just friends. Friend zone, friend zone, friend zone. But, you know, you're like, this person's been in front of me my whole entire time, right? I've been through 500 bad boyfriends or girlfriends, and this person's been there the whole time. Like, why didn't I see that this person knows me better than anybody? They've been through everything with me. They've been through my ups and downs. They've been through hell and high water with me. So if they can go through all that with me for this long, there's nothing we can't conquer, right? And that's your person, because really, they're soulmate, right? And I just feel like your destiny may be to be with this King of Cups person, the person who may have been your support system through breaking up in this last relationship. And engagement may be something that is really considered. It's not like you don't know them well, right? So I think that's something you need to think about if you have a person like that in your life. You know, that maybe there's more there than you've even thought of. So hopefully this resonated with you. If it did, please do like, subscribe, share. hit that notification bell. I will be putting up Christmas readings and I will be putting up moon readings, and I hope to see you back very shortly. Bye.